Chapter 1 Story A Guide to Magic by Book Player. Apple Bloom had noticed something was going on for the past week. So, by the time Applejack told her they were going to the castle to talk to Twilight, Apple Bloom was more curious than surprised. Applejack didn't seem angry, but she did seem nervous, and that put Apple Bloom on edge. Maybe some pony was sick. Maybe she was sick. Maybe every pony was sick and there was a plague and they were all gonna die. She decided that wasn't it, and they got to the castle. If any pony was sick, they'd be going to the doctor, not Twilight. Unless it was a magic disease. As they walked to the castle, Apple Bloom wondered about magic diseases. If she wasn't dying, she'd have to look that up at the next Twilight time. Twilight was waiting for them in the library. She smiled at Apple Bloom and motioned to the pillow sitting on the ground. "Hi, Apple Bloom. How are you today?" "I'm good, I think." Apple Bloom flopped down on a pillow. Then she raised an eyebrow. "I ain't dying of some magic disease, am I?" Twilight looked confused as she and Applejack sat down on the other pillows. "No? Why would you think that?" Apple Bloom shrugged, relaxing a little. "Y'all are acting weird. The grown-ups, I mean. Everybody's talking to each other and shutting up real fast when I come by. You've been talking to my family and Miss Shirley. AG and Granny and Mac been talking to each other. Then AG was looking worried on our way here. As far as I know, you're perfectly healthy." And Twilight smiled. "There is something we need to talk to you about, but it's actually something good." "Maybe." Applejack corrected Twilight. Twilight nodded. "Right, something that might be good, which is totally up to you." Apple Bloom narrowed her eyes. "Okay, this ain't getting less weird. What's going on?" Twilight smiled again, even larger than before, and her magic floated a stack of papers from her desk. "Well, you've been doing really well at potion making, and the things you've learned from our conversations about magic theory are very impressive. I talked to Geraldine, and she said that you're really good at math and science, and she thinks you could be even better with a more advanced class. I've also talked to your family and to Princess Celestia, and, well, I'd like to offer you a really amazing opportunity." "Twilight?" Applejack gave her a look. "Well, it is amazing. That doesn't mean good," Twilight insisted. "She's gotta decide," Applejack said. Twilight nodded. "She also needs to know how important this is." Apple Bloom rolled her eyes. "Will y'all tell me already?" Twilight's smile returned. It was getting darn close to a grin this time. "Yes, I'm sorry. Princess Celestia would like to invite you to be the first non-unicorn to take the entrance exam and possibly attend Princess Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns in Canterlot." Apple Bloom blinked. "But I ain't a unicorn." "Obviously, you would be excused from the classes on spellcasting, and you wouldn't be able to graduate as a mage of casting," Twilight admitted. "But you could learn all about magic theory, potions, history, math, and science, and there are lots of other degrees you could decide on later. You can make advances in the study of magic or find ways to improve technology, discover new potions, expand our understanding of the great mages of the past. It's all so exciting! I wish I could do it all over again." "What Twilight's saying is true," Applejack said, looking Apple Bloom in the eye. "But you also gotta remember, you'd be all the way out in Canterlot, away from your family and friends, and you'd be the only pony there who ain't a unicorn." "There are a few professors who are non-unicorns, ones who excelled in other fields to the point where they obviously had something to teach the students," Twilight pointed out. "But Applejack is right. There's never been a non-unicorn student." "I don't think I want to do that." Apple Bloom glanced between them, shifting on her pillow. "I mean, learning about magic is fun, but wouldn't everybody be laughing at me?" Well, there's some ponies might. You'd be different, and there's no way around it," Applejack said, her face softening. "But there's more to think about there, too." Twilight nodded. Princess Celestia and I have talked for a long time about having non-unicorns in the school. Not only Earth ponies, but Pegasi and Griffins and Zebras. But we always knew it would take a special pony to be first, some pony with the interest and talent to succeed, academically, and the right attitude to enjoy it and not get bitter or frustrated. Applejack smiled at Applebloom. You're a lucky little filly, 'cause you're as smart as you are, and you're friends with Twilight, so she could see that you could be that pony. Some pony's gotta be first, and that pony's gonna have to be brave and tough and smart enough to show every pony that an Earth pony can learn just as much as a unicorn. What's a pony gotta be like to be the second Earth pony at the school for unicorns? Applebloom asked. Applejack raised an eyebrow. Well, I reckon she'd have to find somebody to go first. You don't need to decide now, Twilight said with a gentle smile. You need to think about this a lot and talk to other ponies. None of us will be disappointed in you, whatever you decide. Applebloom bit her lip. The idea of getting to learn about potions and magic sounded amazing, but everything else about it sounded like the worst thing ever. Can Sweetie Belle go with me? She's learning magic. Twilight frowned. She can try it if she wants, but I don't think she'd get in. She's not interested in magic in the way you are, and she doesn't think the same way you do. I don't think she'd like it there as much as you would. Applebloom's ears drooped. If I don't go, can I still learn stuff with you? Absolutely, Twilight gave a firm nod. Charlie and Zecora and I will teach you everything we can, but Zecora and I have lots of other ponies to help, and Charlie has lots of foals to teach. At the school, every pony there would be learning the same things you are, and all the teachers would be there just to help you succeed. Applebloom nodded and swallowed. Twilight looked serious, but her eyes were shining with hope. Applejack looked almost the same, but behind her eyes, Applebloom could see the worry. Will y'all really be just as proud as me if I don't go? Of course, Twilight said quickly, but something behind her eyes changed. Applejack hesitated, then said, Sugar Cube, if you think about this hard, we'll be proud of you whatever you decide. The only wrong answer is jump into one without thinking what you're getting into or what you're missing out on. But making this decision the right way is a real grown-up thing, and if you do that, I'll be proud to have a smart pony like you for my sister. Applejack's expression didn't change. Applebloom knew that was the truth, and it made her relax a little. She just had to be a grown-up about this. She couldn't decide things like a scared little foal hiding under the bed as soon as somebody said boo. They were giving her a real adult decision to make, like an adult. She put on her best mature expression that she practiced in the mirror and nodded. Okay then, I will consider your proposal. Do you have any literature I can use to research the facts? Applejack raised her eyebrow and smirked, and Twilight just grinned. I do. Here are some brochures, and if you have any more questions, feel free to ask me. The wagon behind Applebloom rattled on the shiny floors of the school, shaking the glassware and ingredients inside. The wheels were probably loose from years of use over dirt roads and grassy paths. Why didn't she think to tighten them? She was going to look like a small-town farm pony, and she couldn't let the judges think that. Ponies who weren't even born yet were counting on her to make the best impression any pony ever made here. Not to mention that was the only way she was going to get to see that amazing potions lab in the brochures. Don't worry, Spike said, patting her back. I made sure everything is packed so it won't break. Applebloom tried to smile back. Thanks. Just take a deep breath, Applebloom. You'll be just fine, Twilight assured her. Applejack nodded. You just gotta focus and do your best, Sugar Cube. That's all any pony can do. Applebloom tried. She really did. She took a breath. She focused on the potions she'd studied, going over each one carefully in the order she'd decided to memorize them. No pony, too, with the exam would be this year, even Twilight, and she wouldn't have told Applebloom if she did. Twilight and Princess Celestia had agreed that what Applebloom could do with potions was about the same as what a talented unicorn her age could do with magic. So the only concession on the test was that she could bring her supplies and make a potion from memory. Twilight said the test wasn't even about what a pony could do. Some years, they gave the foals things that would be unsolvable for a foal of their level just to see how they handled it. Magical power was important, but so was knowledge, resourcefulness, and the ability to present an appropriate academic demeanor. Applebloom knew she didn't have magic, and she never would, so she'd have to really blow them away with the last ones. The wheel on her wagon squeaked loudly behind her, breaking her concentration. She cringed and wondered why she ever thought this was a good idea. Spike was at the kitchen table and just about to dig into a bowl of juicy amethyst when Twilight stuck her head into the kitchen. "Hey, Spike, do you have a minute to talk?" Spike popped a gem into his mouth and chomped it with a loud crunch. Sure. What's up, Twilight?" Twilight folded the bowl away from Spike and smiled. "It's kind of important. You can finish this in a little bit." "What's attacking Equestria this time?" Spike asked, rolling his eyes. She laughed, sitting down across from him at the table. "Nothing. It's not that important. It's just, I know how you feel about being my assistant, and I know you get worried that I don't need you anymore. You know nothing can be further from the truth. You are an amazing assistant." "I'm liking this so far." Spike leaned back in his chair. "Keep going." "I want you to know that what I'm about to ask you is a question, not an order. It's your decision all the way, and I won't be disappointed whatever you decide." Twilight's face had suddenly fallen to a more serious expression. Spike glanced at her nervously, frowning. "I like this part less. Can we go back to how great I am?" "It is about how great you are, actually." Twilight looked him in the eye. "Spike, have you ever considered that you could really help other ponies with your talent as an assistant?" Spike raised an eyebrow. That's what I do with my talent. I help you, and sometimes Rarity." Twilight nodded. "And we both appreciate it, but there are ponies out there who might need your help even more. I just talked to Applebloom about going to Princess Celestia's school. She's thinking about it, but every pony's a little worried. She's never lived away from home before, and she'd be the only Earth pony at the school. On top of having more to study than she's had in her life, it could be really hard." "I'll say." Spike raised an eyebrow. "I mean, you were from Canterlot, and it was your dream to go there, and you still needed me to." His eyebrows fell, and his eyes narrowed as the pieces fell into place. "Wait a minute." "If you ever wanted a chance to use what you're best at to really help someone who needs it, I think this would be a good time," Twilight suggested gently. "You know your way around the city, and there's nobody more useful than you for helping with studying. And you'd be the somebody she knows and trusts, a friend in a scary place." Spike felt himself tense, and his eyes darted around the room. His stomach felt strange, and he wanted to swallow the bowl of gems at once to make it feel right. But Twilight was looking at him, waiting for him to say something. I don't know. What will you do? You need me here." She smiled. "You know that I do. But I'm a grown-up pony, and I have the curls and Aloysius, and I'm magic. Applebloom needs an assistant like you way more than I do right now. If you wanted to go with her, I'd get by as best I could, and I'd be happy, because I know that you are helping a friend who needs you even more than I do." Spike thought about it and shook his head slowly. "Wow, Applebloom doesn't even have magic. How's she gonna get books down in the library and stuff?" "If you don't go, she can always ask the librarians for help or find a stepladder," Twilight pointed out. She's a smart little filly. This is as much about you as it is her." "I get why Applebloom needs an assistant, but if you still need me, why not find somebody else for her? Why is this about me?" Spike asked. "You're growing up. You're one of my best friends and my very best assistant. But sometimes a pony or a dragon likes to stand on his own," Twilight said. If you ever wanted to prove yourself how important you could be to some pony, and not just take my word on it, this would give you a chance. I trust you, Spike said quickly, and I totally know I'm important. I have a statue. Twilight nodded. It's an amazing thing to help save a kingdom, and you're very important. But sometimes it's nice to know in your day-to-day life that you're really contributing something to the world, just by using your talents and skills. I'm saving my talents and skills for something really important. You know, I don't want to unleash them on the Christian all at once. Spike smirked, then glanced to make sure Twilight was buying it. Twilight raised an eyebrow. You wouldn't only be helping a good friend, you know. You'd be doing something important at Princess Celestia's, helping to make sure the first non-unicorn student succeeds and thrives. That could go down in history. Spike shrugged. It's important, sure, but is it really? Spike, if you don't want to go, just say so. Twilight rolled her eyes with a smile. I'm not going to be disappointed. I don't want to go, Spike said cautiously. Okay. Twilight folded the bowl of amethyst back down to Spike. If you change your mind, just let me know. As Twilight left, Spike looked down at the gemstones. He wasn't really hungry anymore. Something felt wrong, even though clearly everything was perfect. He was going to stay here, where Twilight and Rarity needed him, and every pony was cool with that. He wondered if he might be getting sick. Dragons don't get pony diseases, but they could probably catch magic diseases. He left his lunch on the table and went to go look that up. Spike tried to let himself relax as they walked through the halls of the School for Gifted Unicorns. It helped that everything about it felt familiar, right down to the nearly shaking pony walking next to him. Wound so tight she might burst into tears or kick a wagon of supplies against the wall. But what helped more was years of training. It was his job to be calm. Spike, did I bring the poison joke extract? I thought about it, but I don't remember putting it in, and what if they asked me to shrink something real small? Spike smiled. You asked me twice already, and it's still in there. Apple Bloom nodded, but just a few seconds later she said, What about the apple seeds are in there too. Rainbow Dash got you enough rainbow to paint the room. Zecora brought you half the Evergreen Forest, and Fluttershy made sure you have every hair of every animal under the sun. And I labeled it all myself. His smile grew to a grin, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw Twilight smiling at them. Thanks, Spike. Apple Bloom gave a quick smile and leaned against him. He gave her a friendly nudge. No problem. The smartest ponies are always a mess over stuff like this. Hey! Twilight said behind him. Well, I sure am a mess right now. Reckon you're about all that's holding me together. Apple Bloom gave him another quick smile. That's why I'm here, Spike said, puffing up a little. The truth was that, under it all, he was more nervous than he'd ever let on. He knew Apple Bloom was smart, and he knew that she was as prepared as a pony had ever been for a test. They'd gone over dozens of possibilities, and she had a plan for all of them and the materials to get it done. But she also knew everything that was writing on this. The things she'd let herself dream for the future, the place in history she would secure if she passed, and the chance for him to be part of that. He hadn't known how much he wanted that. He'd never even thought that he could do this again. But now he found himself mentally triple-checking the checklist to make sure he'd done everything he could. Everything else was on Apple Bloom's little shoulders, and he knew that the best thing he could do for both of them was to try to help her forget that. Not that it ever worked, but he could try.